This board is very threatening, and the pot is already very big. When the pot is very large and I think I've got the best hand, I want to bet very aggressively and win that pot immediately. I do not give free cards.
Check.
And a check.
Well, someone just made a mistake.
One card remains. It's a king of clubs.
Do you see what just happened? The free card on the river may have completed a flush draw or a straight draw. Giving free cards is like playing Russian roulette. Don't do it.
$250,000.
$250,000 from Bruce.
Here we go.
I call.
And it's called.
All right, let's get a showdown, boys.
Biggest pot of the tournament so far.
All right, I can't wait to see this hand.
Aces, top pair. Club flush.
River to flush.
Kidding me.
Club flush Bruce, and he wins a huge pot and is taking the chip lead.
All right, so I had it backwards. It was Butch, the cool guy, who gave the free card. If Butch would have bet strong enough to protect his hand on the turn, Bruce probably would have folded his drawing hand and not be stacking the chips right now. Why didn't Butch bet to protect his hand on the turn? My guess is that he was trying for a cheap showdown because he was worried that his pair of aces with the 8 kicker was beaten by a pair of aces with a better kicker. In other words, Butch was afraid he was dominated, so he played this hand timidly. This is just another reason why I don't play dominated hands. The key lesson here is to avoid giving free cards. Before we go on to the next lesson, let's consider what Butch's play would be if Bruce had checked on the river. In this case, Butch should clearly check. If Butch bets, he will only be called if Bruce can beat his hand. Many novice players make the mistake of continuing to bet medium-strength hands after the river card. Your opponents never make mistakes when you bet those medium-strength hands. If they have you beat, they're going to call. If they don't have you beat, they're going to fold. In this case, there's no upside for betting, only a downside. Only bet after the river if that bet can make you money.
Butch's first act. Still steaming a bit from the last hand.
Looks like cool guy's on tilt, and he's likely to play too many hands and play them too aggressively. I want to take advantage of this.
Raise 50,000.
He's going to raise it 50,000 straight away.
I'm just going to call here. I have position on Butch for the rest of the hand, and I believe this raise is large enough to chase out the blinds.
So Gordon calls.
Again.
And he passes. Bruce passes.
Fold, Chris, fold. Let me have this guy heads up. All right, perfect.
Ferguson passes. Heads up pot. Flop is queen 5-3 now to Butch. Butch bets 35,000.
That is a tell. He is showing a classic example of acting strong to compensate for a weak hand. This is very reliable when a player is on tilt. The opposite is also true. Players with good hands will often try to act weak or unintimidating in order to invite a call. I'm going to trust my read on Butch and act on it.
Raise.
Phil Gordon is going to raise this pot.
The fact that I have position makes it easier for me to put Butch to the test.
Makes it 200,000.
I'm going to give you credit this time.
No call, and Phil Gordon wins the pot.
Good lay down.
Does a good laydown.
One difference between good players and great players is that the great players make a read of a situation and then they're willing to act decisively on it. A lot of players could have picked up on Butch's tell, but not many would be willing to commit a large chunk of their stack to act on it. Believe me, it's scary to make a big bluff or call down a big bet with a weak hand. even when you know in your gut that you're right. But to be a great player, you've got to be willing to act on your reads. All right, let's take a look at the updated chip count. Whoa, nice chip trick, Butch. Butch has donated 2/3 of his chips. Most of them went to Bruce, who now has a dominating lead with about twice the chip stack of his nearest competitor. That'd be me. But I've still got 30 big blinds and enough time to pick my battles. All right, let's get back to the table. You can almost see the steam coming out of Butch's head right now. Ace-6 offsuit. I'm going to fold here. If I raise 3 times in a row, it's very likely another player will challenge me. I don't want to be challenged with this dominated hand.
Phil folds. Harmony passes. Bruce is also out. It's up to Chris Ferguson. Chris raises the pot. He makes it 60,000.
Call.
And Butch calls.
Chris is probably wondering what I'm wondering. What the hell is Butch smooth calling with?
Flop is King 7 deuce. 3 different suits. Ferguson's first. And Chris bets 70,000.
Let's make it 170.
170,000. And Chris calls.
Butch is in big trouble. When a great player like Chris smooth calls a raise out of position, hear alarm bells ringing.
Turn card is a deuce. King 7 deuce deuce. Chris checks it.
I'm all in.
All in.
I call.
And Chris Ferguson's called.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, Butch.
Yeah, sorry, Butch.
7's full. Chris Ferguson.
Wow, Butch fell in love with his top pair and he walked right into the trap.
Kings and deuces with a queen for Butch. One card left is an ace. And Butch has been eliminated by Chris Ferguson.
Butch played his top pair like a rookie and he went broke with it. He fell in love with his pair of kings and he ignored what was an obvious warning sign. The smooth call by Chris after the flop. Look, I know it's really tough to lay down the top pair, but then again, nobody said winning tournaments was easy. Avoid this common rookie blunder. Don't go broke with one pair. Bad players make the same mistakes over and over. Poker players that can exploit bad players and their mistakes will win. Here are some of the most common mistakes that bad players make. They don't bluff enough. They overvalue top pair, just like Butch did in the previous hand. They don't bet enough when they're bluffing to make their opponents fold, and they don't bet enough when they have a good hand to chase out the drawing hands. They call too much instead of folding or raising. They play too timidly in the middle stages of a tournament or just before they're in the money. They telegraph the strength of their hand with tells. They go on tilt. They allow their emotions to overwhelm their judgment, and they end up broke just like Butch. Let's update the chip count. Butch went from chip leader to 4th place finisher in less time than it takes to spell T-I-L-T. Chris has taken the chip lead, but Bruce and I aren't far behind. Harmony's going to need to win some pots soon, or the blinds are going to eat her up.
All right, we're back. 10 and 20,000 with a $3,000 ante.
So much quieter now, for some
Right?
reason.
That's a
Just
class
thinking
crowd.
It's up to Phil Gordon.
Big slick again. Gotta play this hand, gotta come in for a raise.
Raise it.
He raises it to 100,000.
I'm raising a little bit more than I usually would because I've been playing a lot of hands. I really want them to think that I'm trying to steal.
I'm all in.
All Harmony Jensen moves all in.
Figures. Even though Harmony has the shortest stack at the table now, she's definitely not in desperation mode. For her to raise all in, she's got to have a pretty strong hand.
I call.
Wow. It's called.
Wow. Bruce called 290,000 out of position? He's got a great hand.
Back to Philip Gordon.
It's time to think. I've got to call just under 200,000 to win over 750,000. That's giving me pot odds of 3.5 to 1. That's not bad. If I call here, there's a chance I can eliminate an excellent player. Which brings me to the clincher. Bruce may want to eliminate Harmony as well. He may be willing to check this hand down all the way to the river. Checking it down occurs when one player is all in and the other players check on the flop, the turn, and the river rather than trying to bet each other out of the pot. Because tournament payouts are the most lucrative in the top few positions, it's sometimes best to check it down and try to bust out the all-in player rather than try to win the most chips. The odds are better that Harmony will get busted out if there are 2 hands against her rather than 1.
Call.
Phil Gordon's called here. Almost $1 million pot before the flop. Flop is Jack 4 deuce. 3 different suits.
I check.
Bruce checks it.
All right, it looks like checking it down's a plan.
Phil checks. A queen of diamonds on the turn.
I check.
I gotta warn you here, it's absolutely illegal to talk about or otherwise suggest checking it down. That would be collusion and that's cheating. But if we both decide independently on our own to check, with no discussion, we're not breaking any rules. We're just playing good poker.
Phil checks. Last card is a 7.
I check.
All right, we'll see him.
Phil checks.
Yeah.
8's over here for Harmony. Ace King.
Harmony's 8 beat my ace king. Come on, Bruce.
2 10s win the pot. And Harmony Jensen is eliminated. She finishes in 4th place.
Been fun, gentlemen.
And Bruce wins the pot. He's the chip leader.
By checking it down, Bruce and I eliminated an excellent player and guaranteed ourselves at least a 3rd place finish. We also just locked up another $85,000 in prize money. Sometimes in a tournament, it's worth losing the battle to win the war. Stealing the blinds is a crucial element to my success in tournaments. The great part about stealing the blinds is that when it works, there are no bad beats, no big suckouts, and no big decisions to make. If I never see the river card, I can never take a bad beat. Here's some strategy that you can use when stealing the blinds. Make sure that you target players with average stacks, not the big stacks or the small stacks. Average stacks can afford to fold. The big stacks are likely to call because they can afford to take risks. Small stacks are likely to call because they're desperate and they can't afford to wait for great hands. Target the average stacks in your steal attempts. We're down to 3 players and I'm the short stack. It's time to switch gears, steal some blinds, and stay aggressive.
All right, we are back with a $4,000 ante, 15 and 30,000. Bruce is the chip leader. His first act.
I bet 100,000.
He makes it 100,000, a raise of 70,000.
Here comes Bruce charging out of the gate. He's probably trying to steal the blinds, and even though I'm not happy about it, I think he's making a good play.
Chris Ferguson passes.
When I get down to shorthanded play, the value of pairs and high cards go way up. The value of drawing hands goes way down. I believe my pair of 9s is the best hand at the table right now. But if the flop comes with any cards higher than my medium pair, I'm going to be faced with very difficult decisions. I don't like to make difficult decisions, especially when I'm out of position. So, I'm going to be selectively aggressive and put an end to the decisions I have to make on this hand.
I'm all in.
Phil Gordon moves all in.
How much does he have there, dealer, please?
It's 486 more.
486.
486,000 more.
Remember the gap concept? You need a better hand to call a raise with than you do to raise with. It sure is nice to be on the raising side of the gap, isn't it? What's great about this all-in raise is that there's some hands that Bruce will have a good chance of winning with that'll actually fold. He might have ace-jack, ace-10, ace-queen, and fold because he fears being dominated.
I fold.
No call.
You know, first I got to get rid of Jesus down there, and it's time for me to go fishing.
Not even a tough guy like Bruce dares to cross the gap.
Sometimes you want to advertise your bluffs. It makes your opponents second-guess themselves. It drives them crazy. But mostly, you're setting them up for later. Learn from the pros at FullTiltPoker.com.
To be a winning poker player, you must be able to bluff effectively. Effectively is a key word here because thanks to movies and edited versions of tournaments, many novice players believe that professionals bluff too much or more frequently than they actually do. The difference between the expert and the novice is that the expert is very selective about the table conditions when they consider bluffing. Here are some factors that I think about when deciding whether or not to bluff. My opponent believes that I'm playing tight. My opponent has a witness to bluff from me recently. My opponent's not likely to have a great hand or a great draw. My hand can't win without a bet. My opponent isn't anywhere near pot committed. And my opponent is likely to think that that last card helped me. Being able to bluff effectively is a part of selective aggression. Pick your spots carefully and then play them aggressively.
4,000, 15, and 3. Ferguson's first act. He calls the 30,000.
Interesting. Chris limped in and Bruce is still to act. I'm happy to see a cheap flop for half the big blind with this hand, though.
Bill calls.
Okay, let's see a flop.
Bruce calls. Peggy puts up the first 3 cards. 9, 4, 4 with 2 hearts.
Remember first to the pot wins? This is a great flop for me to bluff at. I'm being selective.
Phil bets 100,000.
And I'm being aggressive. Because this flop has 2 hearts, Chris and Bruce would expect me to make a bet of this size if I had a 9 or a 4. Remember what I said about board texture? In this case, my opponents know that I got to see the flop cheaply, so it's plausible to them that I'm holding some low cards that connected with the board. This is a great spot to launch a bluff at the pot by being first to bet.
Bruce passes.
All right, 1 down, 1 to go. Come on, Chris, fold your hand, fold your hand. If Chris raises me, I'm finished with this hand.
call. Phil Gordon wins the pot.
All right. That felt good. By having the guts to act on favorable circumstances, I was first to the pot, and I won a hefty chunk of change for my bluff.
Phil Gordon first to act.
I folded king-queen earlier, but now that we're down to 3 players, this hand is not as easily dominated.
Raise.
Phil's going to raise it 105,000.
All right.
Force it out.
Got the boxer out. Come on, Chris, just let me have it.
Chris Ferguson calls 105,000.
Chris called a large raise out of position. He's definitely got a good hand. I'm putting him on 2 high cards himself, or a pocket pair, jacks or lower.
Flop is Jack 10-6.
Great flop for me. Open-ended straight draw, flush draw, 2 overcards to the board. Unless Chris has 2 pair or a set, my hand is looking very good.
Chris checks it.
I'm going to bet right out here as a semi-bluff. A semi-bluff gives me 2 ways to win. First, Chris may fold. Second, if he does call my bet, I've still got 18 outs that can make my hand a winner.
150.
So that's 150,000. Chris Ferguson moves all in.
No. He check-raised me again? I don't think Chris is bluffing here because he knows I'd probably call based on the pot odds and the size of my stack. Because he thinks I'm going to call, does that mean I should fold? If I fold, I'll have about 10 big blinds and will be stuck in short stack mode. If I call and lose, I'll only have 2 big blinds worth of chips. It's time to think. Do I want to bring this hand to war? When I think my opponent has only 1 pair, and I have a hand with 15 outs or more with 2 cards to come, I've got more than a 50% chance of making my hand. Add the fact that my opponent may fold, and it becomes obvious. This is a great hand to bring to war.
I got a call.
So Gordon's called. He's got king, queen of clubs. He's got a straight draw and a flush draw. Top pair for Chris Ferguson. Ace, jack. He's in the lead right now.
I'm ahead, but you're the favorite, it looks like.
Yeah.
With 2 cards to come and 18 outs, I'm actually better than 60% to win from here.
Another jack for Chris Ferguson. He has 3 jacks.
I've still got a 22% chance to win. If I'm going down swinging.
The river card's a 9.
Yes.
A 9, and Phil Gordon has eliminated Chris Ferguson on the river.
It's only a 9. It's only fitting a 9 finally did you win.
Well, it is only fair.
Chris won the championship of the world in 2000 with a 9 on the river. Chris made the right play, but he got the wrong result. That's something that all pros know is a part of the game. It's nice when you make the right play and get the right result. My semi-bluff was the right play because it gave me 2 ways to win. Chris might have folded, but when he didn't and moved all in, I still had a chance to win